It has been roughly 2 months since I did my last video on Lori Vallow, covering what happened in order in her case. We left off last time after I covered the interviews that followed the shooting death of Charles Vallow. I highly recommend you watch those in my video if you watch no other segment, especially the interview with Tylee. For those that haven't seen the previous parts or haven't followed the case, on the left is JJ, then Tylee, and finally, Alex Cox. The day after Charles Vallow was killed, it wasn't Lori who contacted a funeral home. It was Chad Daybell who made the call, and that was the funeral home used. In the days after, Chad sent Lori a romance novel, as it was called by reporters and investigators alike. It involved a romantic relationship between Elena and James, which are the names he used in place of their own. During this time, Chad was still married to Tammy Daybell. Tammy Daybell is alive at this time. Chad, in talking about Tammy, sent a message to Lori that says, "Concerning the 2 weeks, BYU Idaho's graduation is July 23rd. Adam is getting his bachelor's and Leah and Joe are getting their associates. They are all walking in the same commencement ceremony. I feel like she will be gone by then, but I will still have the hoopla to deal with, so I believe that's why the Lord is making me wait." July 18th, just 7 days after Charles Vallow was killed, Lori sent this to Chad. "I just got a letter from the insurance company that I am not the beneficiary. It's a spear through my heart. Who do you think he changed it to? Brandon? Or possibly Kay?" Chad replied, "Wow, that's terrible. There is no way to find out." Lori called the insurance company and they confirmed it was changed in March. Lori blamed this on Ned, which is what they named the demon they thought was controlling Charles. Melanie Gibb was brought up to speed about this situation and asked Lori why didn't she get a divorce, and Lori said, that's why that wasn't the Lord's plans. That wasn't the Lord's plans. It wasn't the Lord's plan. The wrapping of religion in this case angers me. She also added that if Chad got a divorce from his wife Tammy, he would lose his exaltation or standing with God. Just 2 days after finding out she wasn't the beneficiary, Lori used for a credit card to pay for Chad's flight to Arizona. Think about that. A little over a week, and Chad's coming. 2 more days. 2 texts about Hawaii. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a place in Hawaii. How much they loved each other and the plan. In July, Lori planned for a casting for Melanie Cope's husband, Brandon, saying he was dark due to an evil spirit. He was part of Hitler's regime in a past life. And in August, Lori filed for Social Security survivor benefits. During this next part, I want you to keep in mind, in the back of your head, this is going to be a very busy time for Alex Cox in the background. The man you see behind me, the man who killed Lori's husband. Between August and October, he purchased 46 guns. He did this after taking out a $21,000 loan, claiming it was for medical reasons. He did that on August 9th. 1 day later, August 10th, is the last time that Kay Woodcock was able to talk to JJ. She said the conversation with JJ was short and strange. It seemed like, unlike normal, someone else was holding the iPad. She tried for months after this to get in contact with him, but got no response. Remember, Kay is someone that Lori thinks might have gotten the money. And Brandon, who needs a casting, previously mentioned, might be the beneficiary as well. Just 2 days after the last time Kay Woodcock got to talk to JJ, Lori removed her children, Tylee and JJ, from her life insurance policy, leaving only her son, Colby Ryan. 2 more days. Lori submitted a rental application. Lori falsely lists her income, combining the Social Security benefits she receives along with the ones Tylee and JJ receives. She said she wanted the location so Tylee could attend BYU, Idaho, the same school Chad Daybell previously mentioned. 2 more days passed, and now Lori wants Tylee's Social Security benefits moved into Lori's personal account. 3 more days, and there's a new bank account in the name of Tylee and Lori together. I think it's clear at this point things are moving in a certain direction rather quickly and methodically. Around September, while Alex Cox has been buying all those guns, he quits his job. Lori, Alex Cox, JJ, Melanie, Tylee, all move to Rexburg, Idaho. And I do want to mention, because this is brought up in the previous videos, maybe you didn't watch, there are 2 Melanies, and I struggle to keep them apart. They're spelled different. One is Poloski, I believe changes her name at some point. The other one is Gibb. It's hard for me to keep them separate. I try. But this move is the start of even darker times. In September, Tylee's payment for her Jeep failed. That had never happened before. But remember, Lori was getting involved with Tylee's money. Lori told Gibb that JJ was possessed. September 8th, Chad Daybell and his wife increased the life insurance policy for his wife, Tammy Daybell, to the max. The same day that Tammy Daybell's life insurance is maxed, Alex Cox, Lori, JJ, and Tylee all visited Yellowstone National Park. That's when the photo behind me was taken. What should have been a fun day is the final day that Tylee was ever seen alive. The next day, Chad Daybell texted his wife Tammy that he shot a raccoon and buried it in their pet cemetery. Phone records showed Alex Cox was on the property. Lori was busy, as you would imagine, with money, trying to get Charles' tax return. Tylee's account was still getting some deposits from Lori, but then she sent them to Colby Ryan. Melanie and Lori went on a flight. Tylee's phone was tracked to be with Lori. Alex Cox's girlfriend asked about Tylee. Lori said she had to be freed. Now, as you can imagine, If you're asking where someone's kid is and they tell you she had to be freed, you might ask what they mean. Lori took her hand to his girlfriend's face and said, "Don't ask." After this, Lori got a babysitter for JJ. She told the babysitter that JJ's dad had died of a heart attack and mentioned a daughter in school. And after a single day of babysitting, that babysitter was paid cash, and Lori said that JJ went to live with his grandparents. The day after the babysitter watched him was the last day that JJ ever went to school. Tylee's bank account was empty to the last dollars. Lori made 2 searches that are worth mentioning: define possess and the phone number for JJ's school. September 22nd, 2029. Gib and her boyfriend visited Lori. The two saw Lori and Chad being romantic. Chad was asked about his wife, and he said that her time was coming up. He had a dream his wife would die. They asked, where are all of Tylee's things? Lori told them it's in a storage unit because she's at BYU, Idaho. Gibbs said that JJ acted the same as always, but that's not what Lori said about JJ. Lori said that Chad was claiming that JJ had an evil spirit in him. JJ was saying things like, "I love Satan." Lori told Gibb they were going to have someone else take care of JJ now, and they never saw JJ again. Police believe the next day, September 23rd, 2029, is the day that JJ died. Gibb, at one point, went to Lori's room, but it was locked. Lori and Chad refused to answer their texts. That morning, Lori told Gibbs' boyfriend that JJ had an episode where he climbed on cabinets and knocked over a picture of Jesus. Gibbs' boyfriend asked to give JJ a blessing, but he couldn't. Alex Cox had already left with JJ. The day after it is believed JJ was killed, Lori called to unenroll him from the school he was attending. He's going to go live with his grandparents and go to school there. The school offered to send his files to the next school, but Lori said he'd be homeschooled, removing a paper trail. Lori rented a new storage unit that was visited by Lori, Alex Cox, and Chad Daybell. Brandon, you know, the one that Lori seemed to think might have gotten the money. Melanie's ex-husband. On October 2nd, he was shot at by someone he said was using a gun with a silencer. Brandon said only a few people knew where he lived because this was a brand new home. The shooter reportedly drove a Jeep registered to Lori Vallow's dead husband. The police knew something was up. They watched Lori's apartment. They saw Chad. They saw Lori. They didn't see JJ. They didn't see Tylee. But that day, Lori bought a wedding ring. One week later, Chad Daybell's wife was shot at. She thought it was with a paintball gun. It wasn't. It was Alex Cox shooting at her while she was in her driveway. A week. The day after that, Lori's son Ryan received money from Tylee's Venmo saying, "We love you." Tylee's phone was traced to be in a location where Lori and Melanie were, not a place where Tylee was seen. October 19th, 2019. Tammy Daybell died. They ruled it natural causes, and there was no autopsy. When Lori was asked about her death, she said she had a dark entity in her, and we had to do what we could to get that spirit out of her. Lori also admitted that Tammy believed Chad was having an affair. And that is when Tammy turned dark. Now, I know this is shorter than my previous videos on this case because it was depressing. So much killing in such a short amount of time. Eyes are on them. The police are watching them. And even with that happening, Tammy Daybell dies. And they don't even do an autopsy. I see why I took a break from this case. It gets worse every single time. I hope you found this interesting. As I said, there are previous videos covering it. They are longer. They have body cams, interviews, things like that really increase the length unintentionally. But I hope it gives you an idea of how this all unfolded, how quickly this all unfolded. And the fact is, there were a lot of signs that I think people should have recognized at the time.